Comes to weight loss, 99% of people in the health and fitness industry miss the circadian and quantum strategies. Today, I did a live stream over on Instagram and wanted to share it here with you on YouTube. So, thank you so much for tuning in and watching today's video. Had to turn my fire off because it's a little bit warm. But I just wanted to do a quick intro to thank you for watching today's episode. It is a live stream I did over on Instagram. And to let you know, this is something I did mention in the chat, but my annual sale where my prices are absolutely the lowest of the year will be over tonight, December the 3rd. If you have been thinking about getting a course, learning more, taking a deeper step beyond my free content, which there is a ton of that, especially on my website, I have 5 free ebooks at www.sarahkleinerwellness.com under free resources. But if you want to learn beyond that free content, those courses are on sale up to 60% off through tonight. I'll make sure that that is in the pinned comment and also in the information section for you. So I just wanted to let you know that. And also thank you so much for being here and watching today's episode. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Surprise live stream. I just thought I'd come on really quickly because I wanted to talk a little bit about how these circadian and quantum strategies can actually help and why this information is like different from 99% of the health and fitness information that's out there. And it's not just weight loss. You know, weight loss is the thing everyone wants, but it's really just overall health, right? It's really looking at autoimmune diseases, sleep, just your overall health. And so, yeah, I'm going to talk about weight loss and how these quantum and circadian strategies help with that. But really, instead of, hey, Marley, instead of just getting so myopically focused on weight loss, think in the conversation of overall health, because weight loss is usually the last thing that needs to happen, but it's the thing everyone is obsessed with. So that's why the title of the video. Hope everyone's having a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. And I also want to mention, while I'm waiting for some people to join, I'm doing this live on Instagram, but I will post the replay on YouTube, so you might be watching it on YouTube. But I want to let you know it's Sunday, December 3rd. I am doing the biggest sale of the year on my courses, which really encompasses all of these quantum and circadian strategies so that you can implement them. I give a ton of information here on Instagram every day, my podcast, and on YouTube. But if you want kind of a organized way of looking at these things so that you can implement them in your lives, my courses are on sale through tonight at midnight. There's a link in my bio that says Black Friday deals, so just check that out if you want to shop any of those. Again, that's through tonight at midnight. But let's talk about this. So I think the biggest thing that people do when it comes to losing weight and even with their health is go straight to diet, because that's what I did. It was like, okay, I am desperate. My health is falling apart. I have all these other issues. First thing I'm going to change is my diet, because I think it's really what people see as the easiest variable to change. And so for me, changing my diet has been helpful, right? And it is something that I recommend people do, is eat real food. Don't eat the highly processed foods. Don't eat very like deuterium laden foods, things like that. But if that's all it goes, and then you're kind of following the same diet 365 days a year, what I see happening with people is that they get stuck. And so having this different mindset about your lifestyle and about your health, I think, is key. And you know, I learned a big lesson with this in 2021. If you've been following me for a while, I do have a lot of new people around here, so if you're new, welcome. But in 2021, when I was trying to get pregnant and balance my hormones in my 40s, that's when my ears and eyes were opened to circadian biology and quantum biology, and wanting to dive deeper into these subjects, because I had gotten the food down to a science. And not only was I at that place where I had really gotten the food down to the science and was, you know, eating all the healthy, right foods, I had a bunch of clients that were in the same boat, and they were stuck. Either they were trying to lose weight and they had been, you know, steadily gaining weight despite eating perfectly, or they had these lingering health issues that just were not getting better with a food-only approach. So in 2021, that's when I've talked about this a ton of times before, but I was given the opportunity to talk with Dr. Jack Cruz on my podcast, and he's the one that turned on this light bulb for me, and talked about the fact that light is key, because what it does is it signals our body, and food is a signal, right? Food is actually a form of light. And so again, when I talk about quantum and circadian strategies, quantum and circadian biology, that's under the umbrella of food. But I think the mistake that a lot of people make, that I was making, was that that's all I was doing, right? So I had this diet that I was very regimented, clean eating, all the clean foods, and I was scrolling on my phone all the time. I never went outdoors. I never really thought like I would, what's the importance of going outside for sunrise or getting morning light? Like, what's the point of that? I'd kind of heard snippets of it here and there on the internet, and then from different doctors, but I just was kind of like, that I don't have time for that. Like, that's just stupid. It's not going to do anything for me, right? So I never really did it until I got to that point where I had been for 2 years very strict with my diet, no cheating, no nothing. And I was not only had gained, 20 pounds that I couldn't really explain. It was from over restriction and over fasting and all the things that can be helpful, but I was not doing it in a circadian format, and I wasn't doing it in a circannual format. So I was not putting any variation in with my fasting or my diet, which is again how food falls under that circadian umbrella. And boom, the extra inflammation, the stress, all of that just continued to pile up and pile on. And so that's where I had this aha moment, because I started doing the things that I had really been resisting because I just thought they were silly and stupid. I just started doing them because I kind of was at this point, I'm like, what do I have to lose? And I had also talked about this 100 times, been down that functional medicine route to do all the testing, like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of testing and the supplements and all these different things. And what Dr. Cruz told me is like, you can take all the supplements in the world, but if your body is not getting the correct signals to turn on your HPA and HPG axis every morning, then those hormones that you need to enhance and to balance are not going to, it's not going to happen, essentially, what he told me. And again, it was one of those things I really balked at, and I was like, that's really stupid and oversimplified. However, when I started doing that, when I finally just said, okay, this $100,000 I've spent on between allopathic medicine and functional medicine, these tests pages of tests that I have telling me, well, this hormone's a little low, this one's a little off, you might have this issue, you might have that issue, do this cleanse, detox, whatever. Is Dr. Pugh with me? She's actually downstairs in my kitchen right now. Dr. Sarah Pugh. She's been staying at my house since Halloween. But anyway, so yeah, I had been down this route, and I was just done. I was like, fine, I'm gonna really dive into this circadian and quantum biology stuff. And when I did, I was pretty shocked, because I had already, in my 40s, started having the issue where I would wake up a lot at night. And I just thought, oh, this is just frustration, stress. Yeah, there was a cortisol issue going on, obviously, because that was what was waking me up. Hormone issues were happening. But again, according to these stacks of labs I had, it was just like a little slightly off. And the solution, again, was supplement, and it wasn't doing anything super helpful. So when I started these things, within 3 days, and that's why when I was like, okay, maybe there is something to this, within 3 days of starting the light protocols, the morning sunlight and blocking blue light after sunset, I slept through the night for the first time in years. And I was just kind of like, oh, like, wait a second, maybe there is something to this. So backing up to the overarching topic, how circadian and quantum biology help with weight loss. If you're not sleeping, weight loss is really, really, really hard. And so this is something that's overlooked in functional medicine and alternative health pages, right? Is that the sleep part. And a lot of people are like giving you all these supplements to take, and yeah, some magnesium can be helpful. I do magnesium baths every night. But something as simple as following a circadian lifestyle in regards to morning sunlight, where your body actually in the sunrise gets the signal to from the amount of blue light available in sunrise to turn on the HPA and HPG axis. Boom, hormone production starts. Instead of looking at your phone and your phone thinking oh my gosh, it's the middle of the day, I better start pumping out all this cortisol. But no, getting that and then getting that UVA window, which happens right after sunrise, right, is vital for melatonin production. Like, melatonin is a really popular supplement, and my thoughts on it have shifted and changed over the years, but my thoughts on melatonin supplementation is if you are not doing these things with your morning and you're just taking melatonin, it's a waste, right? And you could probably skip the melatonin supplements if you really got that time out in UVA, because UVA is when our body synthesizes serotonin, which gets converted into that night's melatonin. It's a cycle. And I would say 99% of the people in the wellness space, in the alternative health space, never talk about this. So if you want to lose weight, if you want to improve your health, right, if you have these health issues, because I think it's a lot more important to talk about your health than it is your weight. But again, everyone wants the weight conversation. If you want that, you really want to encourage your body to make its own melatonin, because that's when we do the processes, autophagy, apoptosis, that cell death and cell repair that we need so that we don't get diseases, so that we don't get autoimmune issues, so we don't have obesity and Alzheimer's. All of these things are associated with artificial light at night. So if you go into PubMed, very easy to do, going to PubMed and type in artificial light at night and disease, right? Boom, you're going to get a ton of information, because people are like, I need to see the science on this. I need to see it before I'm actually going to do it. It's there. There's tons of it. It's just that there's not really any supplements that anyone can sell you to get you out in the morning with sunlight, right? So again, for me, what got me hooked into this circadian quantum lifestyle in 2021 was that within 3 days of doing this stuff, and for some people it may take a little longer, it just really depends on how dysregulated your health is, how dysregulated your sleep is. It may take a little bit longer, right? But I was at that point where my body was like, I just needed the 3 days to reset, and then all of a sudden the sleep was better. So that's really, really, really paramount for weight loss, is that melatonin and also cortisol, right? So I talk a lot about leptin, cortisol, and melatonin. So leptin, if you're new here, is a master circadian signaling hormone that will, it's basically an accountant that tells your brain every night when you're sleeping how much stored energy you have, how much stored body fat or even stored sugar in the liver. If you're not getting sleep, if you're not sleeping, especially between that 12 to 2 when you're supposed to have the most melatonin, because there's a relationship between melatonin and leptin, right? I can talk about breastfeeding, because I have a 14-month-old almost that is napping right now. But if you're not getting that time, then leptin is not docking to the hypothalamus, and your body the next day doesn't know how much stored energy it has on it. This is going to mess with your thyroid, your sex hormones, your immune system. All these things are going to be impacted. So this is why I harp on the circadian stuff even before I get to food now. Now everybody wants to talk about food, right? But if you don't have this down foundationally, the food is going to be that much harder. Does that make sense? Because if leptin is not going to your brain at night when you sleep to give this report, then your body the next day is really confused. That's why it feels like, oh my gosh, and then your thyroid begins to downregulate, cause thyroid issues. There's thyroid and leptin have a huge relationship. Again, you can go on PubMed and type in leptin and thyroid. Tons and tons of studies there. So just all these things can happen. And so this is why I start, sorry, I'm trying to scroll through these questions. This is why I start with cortisol, leptin, and melatonin in this circadian fashion before I'm even telling people what they need to be eating. And so if you're just popping in, I just want to let you know my biggest sale of the year is ending tonight at midnight. If you are interested in getting some of this information, I put out a ridiculous amount of free information on Instagram and YouTube, just because I know not everyone can do the course thing. But if you do, if you've been thinking about it, tonight at midnight is the last chance to get these courses at up to 60% off. It's my lowest price that I do all year. So check that out. It's linked up in my bio under Black Friday deals. The best way to test leptin levels. So I have a quiz linked in my bio also that will let you go through a ton of symptoms. And I typically have people just tell me their symptoms. And if you're 20 pounds or more overweight, there is a 99.9% you're leptin resistant, okay? Because leptin is stored in the body fat. But you can also do a 12 to 14 hour fasted blood serum leptin test. Typically, it's best to do this in the morning. Well, it is best to do this in the morning, but it's not necessary, right? You can start making these changes without a blood test. We're so like, I need the test. I need to, like I said, I had like a book full of tests from functional medicine doctors that cost me an arm and a leg and a freaking pantry full of supplements. I still had extra weight. I still had messed up hormones. I wasn't able to get pregnant. I wish I had just known this information about my circadian rhythms and about cortisol, melatonin, and leptin before I wish I could just save my freaking money. Pardon my language. Actually, that's not bad language, but it's I'm trying to keep it kind here. So if you breastfeeding, working at night is tough. So someone says they have a hard time because they have to work at night. That's a tough one. I actually just did a podcast with Dr. Max Gulhane where we talked about this. He's a doctor. And, I have a course called Circadian Health for the Busy Person where you can use things like temperature and blue blocking glasses and some fasting to help offset some of the damage of working at night. I hate to say it though. I mean, I know I've talked about this in my last live stream. Our hospital workers and our night shift workers are valuable. We need them and they're saving lives. Unfortunately, they're putting their lives at risk. And that's very, very unfortunate because night shift is actually, again, going on PubMed. This is all something you can look up, is a carcinogen, believe it or not. So it is not good for you. There are things you can do to mitigate it. Again, I have got that course that's 30% off right now as part of my sale through tonight called Circadian Health for the Busy Person that I've had a lot of nurses, doctors take that. And let's see, any brand suggestions for blue blocking glasses? I've got 2 brands linked in my bio. And then I have a free guide. I have like 5 or 6 free ebooks on my website. If you go to www.sarahkleinerwellness.com and then go to the tab that says all free resources, I have all these free ebooks. One of the free ebooks is your guide to blue blocking glasses, and I'll tell you how to use them, when to use them, what time, what color, the nice pricey like fancy brands, and then some really inexpensive brands that are like less than $30 because you can go. I have some really nice high-end ones because they're super comfortable and I use them. I love them. But if you're just like, I just kind of want to test this out, that brand is linked in my free guide to using blue blockers. That's on my website. And then there's also a link in my bio if you're watching this on Instagram that says free guides, free resources where you can get that ebook. And breastfeeding. So breastfeeding is tough, man. It's tough. I have a 14-month-old, like I said. The best thing to mitigate your environment when you're breastfeeding is blue blocking glasses and then changing out all the bulbs so that you're not turning on a bunch of overhead bright lights. The biggest mistake I see breastfeeding moms make is whip out that phone when you're breastfeeding in the middle of the night. That is the worst thing you could do. Because remember, light is signaling your brain and it's telling your body to turn on specific hormones. The biggest hormone that turns on when you are exposed to unfiltered blue light is cortisol. And so there are, again, studies over on PubMed about blue light and cortisol and how blue light can actually raise glucose in the absence of food. And so when we're talking about weight loss and we're talking about, keeping our blood sugar nice and healthy, 99% of people never even mention blue light. And what are we all doing? My phone screen is red. I have a window open. I've got some nice near infrared light going on behind me. So there are things you can do to mitigate screens because we're not going to be able to get away from them in the modern world. Most people aren't. If you have that privilege to go live off grid and throw your phone into a river, cool. But I got 2 kids. One of them has high special needs. I have parents we're taking care of. I've got it all. We're sandwiched in here. I can't just get rid of my phone. I sometimes watch stuff on TV, don't tell anyone, but I wear my blue blockers. I have the fireplace on underneath it, and I don't do it after a certain time of night, right? So I don't want anyone to sit here and think I'm like an Amish person. Obviously not, I'm on my phone. But there are ways we can mitigate these things in the modern world so that they're less impactful. So if you're breastfeeding mom, blue blockers, special light bulbs, right? Or lamps or red night lights. And don't look at your phone when you're breastfeeding. I know it's like, but I would use the time to just meditate and to kind of pray and to think positive things and do a gratitude list in my head. I know it sounds very Pollyanna, but it's made a huge difference in my life. Huge difference. Let's see. How can you get deeper sleep as a postmenopausal woman? So if you go to my page on Instagram, I have a bunch of testimonials about this 21-day leptin reset course. And one of the biggest overarching themes you're going to see in those testimonials is it's women in menopause who are sleeping through the night for the first time in 20 plus years. And so, yes, sometimes we need a little extra help after menopause. There may be a need for some other things, right? But if you do these circadian things, a lot of women, and I have a ton of women in my private membership group that are in menopause or in perimenopause, had horrific sleep issues. They're really doing these really simple things. You can get them in my free ebooks that are on my website, and then I also have them in my courses that are on sale through tonight at midnight. They're sleeping. I have a podcast with my friend Janet on my YouTube channel and on my audio only podcast. She did my 21-day course, and she was a little resistant to a couple of the things. But once she did these final couple things that are right there in plain English in the very beginning of the course, she was just resistant to them because they seemed too simple to be true. Her hot flashes completely disappeared. And so, it's remarkable. Like, a lot of people are going to say, got to do the supplements and the hormone testing and all that stuff. Is there a need for that stuff ever? There could be, right? But if you're not doing the basics, your body is literally not getting the proper signals. So that's why this stuff is so impactful. Let's see. Oh, thank you. Someone says, I love Sarah's course, try it. I'm going to scroll through some of these comments here. Happy Sunday, by the way, everyone. That is great. We've just changed our bulbs in our home yesterday. Okay, I've just put my phone in night mode for breastfeeding. Would this work? Honestly, I know this is going to sound harsh and maybe even unrealistic. Just can't have off hours for your phone. That is the best thing you can do for your mental health, especially as a mother who's breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is it's like walking 7 miles a day. Like, they don't tell you this. When you're breastfeeding, it is metabolically equivalent to walking 7 miles a day. So that was one rule I made with my son that I have stuck to, bar none, at, 9 o'clock at night. Sometimes I really try to do it more towards 8. The phone goes in the other room. I do have to keep the ringer on because we have elderly parents. Both of us, my husband and I both have elderly parents that may need us. So it's in the bathroom, which is a good, 20 feet away from the bed. It's not in the room next to me. Ringer's on in case someone has to get to me. It's an emergency, okay? But I do not look at that thing. In the night when I wake up, when I have children waking me up, under no circumstances am I going to pick up my phone and look at it to shop on Amazon or do whatever, because my brain needs a break and my body needs a break. And if I want to make this stuff work for myself, I just don't do it. And again, I know it sounds crazy, but it's a really beautiful time that you can spend praying, again, meditating, doing a gratitude list, or just being quiet. Like, how often in our lives do we just have this time to be quiet and be with your baby? Like, it's a beautiful bonding time with your baby. I know some people are like rolling their eyes big time, but I believe in this stuff. Why? Because I am in better shape now. I have lost all the baby weight and then some. I'm actually in better shape now he'll be 14 months next week on the 5th. So I'm in better shape when my son is 14 months postpartum than I was before I got pregnant. I have not done extreme dieting. I have not done extreme exercising. Don't tell my friend Rob Jacobs. who we did an exercise course with together. I haven't been doing a ton of working out. My life has been too stressful. But I look better now at age 44 than I did before I got pregnant. I look better in my 40s than I did in my 20s, honestly. My body does. So that's why I believe in this stuff. It's part of this whole circadian piece. If you get up in the night, even if you can't fall back asleep or you're breastfeeding or something, try not to look at the phone, even if it's in night mode, even if your phone screen's on red, because neurotransmitters also have that ability to bring up your cortisol levels. So when we're talking about balancing our hormones, which is such a huge topic on the internet, we really have to start with cortisol, melatonin, and leptin. These are master circadian hormones that impact all of the downstream hormones, right? So your sex hormones, your thyroid hormones, and your body's ability to heal and repair and to ward off disease, to ward off illness. All these three hormones really need to be in balance in order for all your other hormones to be in good shape, okay? Let me scroll through these, see if there's any more. And hello, everyone popping in. I'm addicted to the phone and it's critical to my workday. Now in time, I treat myself for longer periods of not touching. Yes, and it's tough. I get it. My job is on my phone 100%. I have a special needs child that she now has had some really complex medical issues in 2023. And I have to have my phone with me because something might happen and I need someone to be able to contact me. So I get it, but we have to have those periods of away for our nervous system. And remembering, if cortisol is rising, that's what I was about to say about those neurotransmitters. If you're looking at your phone, we all do it. We all scroll through the reels and ha ha ha, that one's funny, that one's cute. Oh my God, why did Instagram just show that to me? That's horrible, right? And we get that anger feeling, or we get that, that's just the way this fun internet game works, right? We scroll, and then oh my God, why am I seeing this, And there goes the cortisol, and cortisol and melatonin oppose one another. So you cannot make melatonin if you're making cortisol. Can't do it. So this is another reason why, yes, darkness is super important, even if you've got blue blockers on and your phone screen is on red, which is great. It's a really good starting place. Remember, your neurotransmitters are also capable of bringing that cortisol up. So I co-sleep and breastfeed half asleep in the dark. That's awesome. Yeah. So I have a little, amber clip-on light beside my bed. I don't co-sleep with my son anymore, but I did for the first 7 months or so. He's independent. He did not want to be in our bed anymore. He likes it. He likes his bed. But I did the same thing, just a little amber clip-on light and blue blockers. And, now I have the night. He doesn't really wake up in the night anymore. Not that's me knocking on all the wood in the whole house. Because he's a great sleeper now. But yeah, I have a lot of special little light bulbs and nights, night things set up. Waking up every 2 hours while sleeping and hot flashes, where to start. I would absolutely, again, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's very simple to start with these circadian principles. My 21-day leptin reset, this program is on sale for 30% off, or if you get in a bundle, up to 60% off through midnight tonight. That's the course I always tell people, that's the one you want to take if you're having trouble sleeping or you're having the hormonal issues. I also have 5 free different ebooks on my website. That's also linked in my bio here on Instagram. It's sarahkleinerwellness.com under free resources. Building Your Perfect Quantum Day is a really great guide if you're I just want to try some of these things. Let's see, does your cycle benefit from, yes. So here's a fun one. Go to PubMed and type in circadian rhythms and the menstrual cycle. Huge amount of research, very fascinating stuff. Circadian rhythms and fertility. So that was the thing for me. And yeah, this video is going to be saved on Instagram, and I'll also put it up on YouTube and my audio only podcast for people who want to listen to it a little bit of an easier way than trying to do this Instagram replay. But that was the thing for me that really got my hormones set in the right way, was the circadian piece, because your eyes are syncing up to sun. And when you do that in the morning, sunrise is at a little bit of a different time every single day. And you also see the moon when you're out there as well, a lot of the time, depending on the phase of the moon. And so your body, when you're getting that signal every morning from sunrise, not only are you turning on the HPA, HPG axis, not only is your body making really, really crucial neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, all these things, serotonin, which gets converted into that night's melatonin, but you're also telling your body what time of day it is, what time of year it is. So our bodies move through this circadian and circannual rhythm. You know, we're not supposed to eat the same diet 365 days a year. So that is super important when it comes to, you know, your overall health, is understanding everything's not supposed to be the same in the summer as it is in the winter. And when we fail to honor the changes in seasons, we begin to have circadian mismatch, which is inflammation in the body. Let's see. Yes, I've had a lot of women with hot flashes to disappear, a lot of them. Yeah, good light bulbs for nightlight. You can do Edison style incandescent if you can still get incandescents. You can do the Huga blue blocking bulbs. I mean, there's a ton of different bulbs out there. Let's see. I have no phone on from morning until midday as I dedicate that time to playing and more breastfeeding. Would it work to swap that? Yes. I mean, I kind of explained that, you know, you don't want to have those neurotransmitters pumping at night, because then you're not going to be able to make melatonin. So if you're scrolling on your phone, that's a really good way to tell your body to not make any melatonin, so you can't, you can't heal and repair. And those things, again, when we talk about weight loss, crucial. If you have to miss sunrise/sunset timing, can you hack it with a red light even though the timing is different? There's no hack for actual sunrise. I hate to say that, because it has a mix of blue, green, red, infrared. There's no substitute for it. But you can use a red light panel. It can help, but it's not going to do the same thing hormonally with your HPA, HPG axis and creating those neurotransmitters and those hormones. It's just not going to do the same thing. But a red light therapy a panel can be helpful. Let's see, what do we do if we wake during the night at 2 a.m. and can never get back to sleep? I mean, that's a tough one, but same thing that I did with breastfeeding is I pray, I meditate, I spend time making a gratitude list. I do have a meditation practice that actually helps me fall back to sleep, and I do that. Just trying to keep things as restorative as you possibly can. And some people might disagree with me on that. But does cortisol not increase during breastfeeding? Your hormones go on this 24-hour cycle. So during the day, you should be having cortisol in your breast milk. And at night, you should have melatonin in your breast milk. There's some really interesting research about that. Someone says, how do I order? There's a link in my bio if you're interested in getting my Black Friday sale that ends tonight at midnight, where you've got the sale link, all the bundles, all that stuff. So just go to the link in my bio. What about hybrid cars? Are they unhealthy for you because of the electromagnetic field? I mean, I honestly have avoided getting an electric car. All the new cars now are full of EMFs. So you see that little thing up there? I've got a Lila Q, like a miniature block. I'll take that in my car. But I also just open the sunroof or open the window so I can get some infrared on my body, on my head when I'm driving, because that can offset a little bit of it. 11 months, I wonder if I could fit these goals in my lifestyle. So I have another course called Circadian Health for Busy Moms, where I really detail all this stuff for breastfeeding, or if you have kids that wake you up all night, because just because you're not breastfeeding doesn't mean your kids are going to sleep through the night. So that course is also on sale for 30% off, Circadian Health for Busy Moms. And then I have some Busy Mom bundles that have the Leptin Reset and the Circadian Health for Busy Moms, just because I kind of see a need for people to understand this on a little bit of a deeper level. How many hours in the morning and at night do you avoid screens and artificial lights? I definitely have an evening routine. So after sunset, I'm popping on a pair of orange blue blockers every night, and I have those on until about maybe an hour before I actually go to bed, which I try to be in bed by 9, and that's when I put the red ones on. If you can only afford one pair of blue blockers, get red. And then I try to, put my phone away by 8, 9 o'clock is definitely the last. As I mentioned earlier the better, right? Because the more you can be away from your phone, the more, your body can start to unwind. And we really want to think at night when it's dark, melatonin, melatonin, melatonin. For weight loss, for health, for everything, we want melatonin, because without it, we can't get autophagy, we can't get apoptosis, that cell death and cell repair is going to be very impaired. And then leptin docking to the hypothalamus to say, hey, I've got this much energy stored in my body, so tomorrow, thyroid, do this, sex hormones, do this. If you are not making enough melatonin, those systems are not going to run, those programs are not going to run properly. So that's why it's so super important. How long in the morning should we see sunrise? I mean, honestly, as long as you can. That's not easy, literally as long as you can. And the more dysregulated your hormones are, I would say the longer you should stay out there. Sometimes people can't make it work, and you just have to do what you can do. A couple minutes, 30 seconds. I know it's cold outside. I think someone had asked me, what do you do when it's cold? I wrap up, right? And so that's the best thing to do. And then sunlight without glasses and contacts, correct? Yes, correct. Because glasses, contacts, and windows, I see a lot of influencers say, oh, just go to a window. The window blocks some of the red, near infrared, and UV, and those wavelengths are crucial, again, for turning on those processes in your body, the hormones, neurotransmitters. What if you live close to the equator? Do things change for that in terms of diet? Only if you're leptin resistant, right? So my course, Quantum Nutrition, really explains how to do this like year-round, like change with your eating, but it's all based on your leptin resistance. So if you're very, very leptin resistant and you live on the equator, you should not be eating all these tropical fruits. Some people may disagree with me, but not going to be helpful for reversing leptin resistant. Now, if you are leptin sensitive, you're super healthy, you live on the equator, you surf all day or on the beach, go for it. Have the tropical fruits, right? Have whatever's growing there. Make sure you're getting enough protein. But yeah, totally fine. So your diet should depend on your leptin, and it should also depend on your latitude. And there's things, that you can do, like cellar stable foods, ferment, canned foods, those sorts of things. And I know people have to live like a regular life. So I've got all that in the Quantum Nutrition course. Let's see if I've got more questions. Hello, everyone joining. How to get this schedule if I have 13, 3 of kids on this schedule. I mean, my kids do it. I have a 16-year-old child with really, really severe special needs. She doesn't like to sleep sometimes, but she comes out for sunrise with me. The baby, a lot of times, I just bring my kids out in the light, and then I have a lot of the light bulbs changed in my house because my baby is not going to wear blue blockers. So I have a lot of the lights changed in my house, so it's lamps, incandescent bulbs, turn the lights down low, put the fireplace on. Well, not when the baby's up, I don't put the fireplace on. But I have a lot of things in my life that are shifted so that the kids get these signals. Take the phones away, take the screens away. Those sorts of things are super important because a lot of kids they do benefit. And yes, I bring my baby out with me for sunrise and UVA. I post videos on my Instagram all the time of we have a screened-in porch, and I just bring his toys out there, and he plays. And you got to involve your kids in your health. If you're trying to get healthy, your kids need to see you doing it, and you need to bring them with you, right? You don't want to eat, this perfect meal and then get them McDonald's. What kind of message is that sending to them? Are you more thirsty since No, when you're breastfeeding, you need more minerals and you need a lot more hydration. Then you think about what your body is doing. And yeah, pregnancy and breastfeeding is kind of a state of leptin resistance. It is. There are things you can do to support yourself, like the things I talk about, but it is a state where your body is trying to store more energy because you're supporting another human life. So the amount of women that come to me that are like, I'm pregnant, I'm breastfeeding, yada, yada. Do I use red lights at night? So if I'm going to, and hi, Anna, it's good to see you. So I have a red light panel in my bathroom that I use as ambient lighting if I'm going to take a bath. I don't do a skin treatment on my body with a red light panel because that tends to it stops melatonin production. Something that's interesting that I've seen with clients is that I have some clients that can do the same thing. They use the red light panel on the floor as ambient lighting. They don't turn on the The LED, they just use the red light. But I have had some clients that are really, really sensitive, and they will have sleep disturbances if they do that. And so I'm like, everyone needs to experiment for themselves. I'm totally fine to have that red light panel on as ambient lighting. Some people are just a lot more sensitive, and so it's always worth experimenting. But as far as like a skin treatment goes, where I'm doing red light therapy to try to do something therapeutic, I'm only going to do that when the sun is up during the day. So I think that's something that, when you look at the research on cortisol and light, I need to do a post on this soon, but the light frequencies that actually cause cortisol the most are the blue and the green, okay? So those are the ones you really, really want to avoid, and you want to get a good pair of blue blockers that actually does block out those blue and green. You're so welcome, Anna. It's good to see you. But you want to get a good pair of blue blockers that'll block out those blues and greens. But there are some people that it's just the brightness of the red bulb that they needed to have that off too. And then I have had some clients that actually feel like more angry with red lights on. I love the red lights. I'm like chilling. I feel good. I feel happy and peaceful. But I've actually had some people that have red light bulbs on and they feel angry and irritated. So it's just funny how everybody is a little bit different in that. Is red light the same as infrared light? No, there's red and there's near infrared. So red light, if you're buying a panel, is more for like skin treatment. Near infrared can penetrate the tissues and actually has that more therapeutic value. Now we get both of those from the sun, right? Candles are great. Candles are a great source of infrared. So candles, firelight, that is what we used to do back in the day, right? When we didn't have the electric bulbs. So yeah, just jumping back onto topic here. This is the one thing I think that, again, if you're like, oh, I saw this title, how can quantum and circadian strategies help me with weight loss? Number one, you're getting the right signals, right? To turn on those hormones. Number two, you're supporting your mitochondria. And everyone is talking about mitochondria right now is super, super popular. Like, oh, here's a supplement for your mitochondria. This one's for your mitochondria. What the mitochondria does that everyone talks about is make ATP. What's really important that the mitochondria does is make deuterium depleted water, which is kind of like a communication network for the entire body. So if your mitochondria are inefficient and you're not making deuterium depleted water, you're not making enough ATP, guess what is really, really, really difficult? Hormone balance and weight loss, like really, really difficult. And so when I talk about supporting the mitochondria, I'm not talking about supplements. I'm talking, number one, about circadian rhythms, making sure that you have those correct signals in place, and then strategically implementing things like fasting. I don't like breakfast skipping because that can really dysregulate leptin, but a little fasting once you have worked on your leptin, 4 to 6 weeks, and you're good with appetite and sleep, can throw in a little bit of fasting, but it's always going to be dinner skipping, right? That can be very helpful to your mitochondria. Things like ketosis, but there's nuance to it because you don't want to do ketosis 365 days a year. That can cause an issue, right? And you don't want to be glucose burning 365 days a year. There's nuance with that. Things like cold therapy. What cold therapy does is it actually shrinks the space between respiratory proteins in the mitochondria so that energy can travel more efficiently and you can make more of that deuterium depleted water. So again, when we look at the mitochondria and supporting it, these things can actually improve that energy potential of your body. Things like grounding. Again, when I first got introduced to this stuff, I was like, this is all too simple and it's too silly. It's not going to work for me. 6 weeks in, I dropped 30 pounds without drastically dieting, without drastically exercising. And again, I've done everything the same through the postpartum period, have a 14-month-old son, done everything the same and lost all the baby weight and then some through this stuff, not extreme dieting and exercise, but paying attention to meal timing around that circadian clock, getting that bioavailable protein, blocking blue light after sunset, always getting those morning signals, grounding, because again, grounding, what it does is it pulls electrons into the body. So it's like getting free energy into the body. A lot of people are like, oh, grounding, woo-woo, whatever, hippie girl, go stand out barefoot. There are so many amazing benefits to grounding for healing your body, balancing your hormones. I have an amazing podcast with Dr. Laura Conover, Koniver, on my YouTube channel, where we really talk about this stuff, right? And so these things are underutilized. And like I said, 99% of people, when they start talking about weight loss and they start talking about improving their health, never mention something like grounding, because they're, oh, I'm going to sound stupid. But again, go to PubMed. You can type in these things like leptin, circadian rhythms, grounding, all these things. And there's a lot of very interesting research that supports everything that I'm saying. Are deuterium depleted water and exclusion zone water the same thing? No. A little bit of it's a different conversation. I recommend Jen Isabel Friend. She is here on Instagram, and she has a lot of really great resources on water. So definitely check out her page. I've had her on my podcast before. Jody says, I love grounding when I see sunrise. It sets my day. Yeah, me too. It's amazing. And actually, grounding during sunrise and sunset, there's less interference, there's less radiation from the sun, so there's a little bit more magnetism at sunrise and sunset. So you have a little bit more of an electron opportunity at sunrise and sunset, which is pretty cool. That shouldn't deter you from grounding. You can ground anytime during the day and you're still going to get all those amazing benefits, but just kind of something interesting to think about. All right, everyone. Well, I don't see any questions popping up, but I just kind of want to get this message out there. A lot of people are, and I'll talk about that. What if people have to be at work before sunrise? I get that question a lot. But, just as you're starting to think about December, January, oh, I want to make some changes. Everyone kind of does that, right? These things are super foundational. Before you go buy that really expensive detox kit and, go spend all your money on this functional testing and do all this stuff, try the free stuff. I think it could be really, really helpful, and it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense for our health. And then again, for weight loss, it's like, duh. So if you have to be at work before sunrise, I recommend yellow blue blockers. And then, try to step outside once you get to work, once it is sunrise. If you can take that little break for sunrise, and then again at the UVA. People take smoke breaks all the time. So I think we should all get light breaks. And hello, Irene. It's so good to see you. She's in Sweden. We need to create circadian friendly hotel. I agree. Circadian and EMF friendly hotels, because the EMFs in hotels are so crazy. I always bring my little, there's my Lila Q quantum block with me to the hotel. Let's see, any more questions? Can I talk about melatonin supplements? I kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. Melatonin supplements, don't blasphemy. I don't think they should be completely discarded as an intervention that could be helpful for people that have, cancer or some kind of acute condition. However, a lot of the studies on supplementation, a lot of the studies on people that are losing melatonin as they get older have not been done on people that are doing the circadian and quantum principles. These people are not seeing sunrise and UVA light to get that natural boost, to get that serotonin production in the UVA light that is later synthesized into melatonin. So I would rather people not supplement with melatonin on a regular basis. If you do have something like cancer or the C word, or an acute illness, or a quick illness, sometimes I think that can be helpful. There's research to support that, but I think working with a practitioner to help you dose it, find the right amount, can be helpful. So we need to make that. And Jody says, Sarah's 21-day reset challenge changed my life. I've been following her for the last 4 years, and that one is my favorite. Thank you so much, Jody. I appreciate you. Having to get up in the UK in the dark. I did well in the summer, but struggling. Yeah, in the winter, we are supposed to sleep more, right? So we are supposed to sleep more in the winter. We're supposed to, it's a time of deep healing and repair. Our society is not set up that way. Our society is set up to have an eternal summer, so it's warm all day in your house and the lights can stay on till midnight every night. And so it's what I said earlier, circadian mismatch creates inflammation in your body. Inflammation creates extra weight, creates disease, creates all this stuff. So starting with these circadian and quantum principles, and then doing things that kind of make it like a game, right? You know, how much grounding can I get? Can I go do 5 minutes? Can I go outside? And doing that throughout the day, it helps so much. It helps so much. Even when you're, you know, not getting perfect sleep because you got kids, how long should you ground for? So as long as you can. If you look at blood under a microscope, you immediately see benefits within 45 seconds, like quickly. A lot of the studies show a benefit at 45 minutes, but that can be cumulative, right? So you could do 5 minutes, like break it up through the day. So again, it's one of those things, the longer the better. You're not going to create an issue like you might with like fasting or cold therapy from grounding. So the more that you can, the better, honestly. And what's the difference between yellow and orange for blue blockers? So what I mentioned earlier is that blue blockers, the big thing that they're supposed to do, like blue blocker, they're supposed to block blue and green frequencies of light, because those are the ones that tell your body to make cortisol. So yellow is going to block less. They're more of daytime lenses, because we don't want to block our body from completely making cortisol during the day, because otherwise we're going to feel really tired, you know. Orange block a little bit more, and red should block all of it. So that's why I get my free guide to using blue blockers. That's going to tell you exactly how and when to use these. But never wear red while driving, or if you have to like walk around the house. Like I was super pregnant wearing my red blue blockers and I fell down the stairs. So yeah. Can I ground on my cement basement floor in the winter? Probably. Intuition Physician, I think I have her link in my holiday gift guide. She's got amazing grounding tools. She has a meter that you can test to see if you're grounded. I can ground in my bathtub. I can ground on my tile floor, even though I'm on like the 3rd floor here. I can, because I've tested it all. So a cement floor on the ground level is likely that you can ground there. But you can always use that meter that you can get from Intuition Physician to test it. So again, it's a source of free energy. And when we talk about wanting to lose weight and wanting to improve our health and get rid of these issues and diseases, it's an energy issue. If you are having trouble losing weight, your body is losing energy, right? It's an energy issue. So we need to, you know, yes, we need to change our diet and our lifestyle, but we need to find a way to pull energy back into the body. The earth can do that. Red light therapy can do that. The sun can do that. All those things, having your circadian rhythms on point can do that. All of that, exactly. Someone says grounding is just a fancy term for the fact that we evolved outside in nature. We aren't meant to be indoors all the time. Yes, precisely. We are not supposed to be inside all the time. And I think a lot of health issues arise like that. How do I test my blue blocker glasses to make sure they're legit is basically that question. So really the only way to do that is having a spectrometer. So the brands that I recommend in my blue blockers guide and the ones linked in my bio, I have personally tested with a spectrometer, which is a light meter to actually show how much blue, how much green is actually being blocked out, because there's a lot of brands out there that are not what they say they are and you can't really trust them. Because I've tested different ones with especially any clear lens is like trash. Clear lenses are trash. They do not block out the correct amount of blue and green. Maybe a portion of it, but not all of it. So don't waste your money on those. My friend Carrie B Wellness, she did a video, I think, on her YouTube channel where she's actually showing different blue blocker brands with a spectrometer. So you can go on her YouTube channel as well. All right, everybody. Well, I hope this has been helpful. I hope it makes sense. And it just, as you go into this end of the year, you know, all of us are going to be thinking about, like, you know, not all of us, how can I get my health in order? It's like all this pressure, like, how can I get my health in order? And it's going to be a lot of stuff coming at you. So do the foundational stuff, which is mostly free. It's mostly free. And that's the overarching message. And if you're trying to lose weight and you're just going diet, and it's not working, there's a huge chance that you need to improve these signals, right? You need to, and this is a good point as I close up. What about wearable devices such as Apple Watch and weight loss? Steal electrons. Non-native EMF, they steal electrons. They cause your body to lose energy in the form of dehydration. Dr. Gerald Pollack has information on this in his research. Dr. Martin Paul has also research on this. So non-native EMFs can absolutely slow down your mitochondrial function and cause you to hang on to extra weight. So that's a very important thing to understand. So it's not necessarily that you need to go do a crazy parasite detox protocol or go buy all this expensive testing or whatever. Do these things first. But thank you everyone who joined in. It's been super fun. My son's probably gonna wake up from his nap soon. Little impromptu Sunday live. I'm gonna post this on YouTube as well as I'll leave it here on Instagram, put it in my audio only podcast. And if you're interested in getting free stuff, I've got free resources, free ebooks on my website. And then all my courses are on sale through tonight at midnight, up to 60% off. And that's the lowest price that I do for the entire year. So if you've been like, oh, I really want to do a course, this is literally the best time of year to do it because it's the lowest price I'm on offer. So thank you everyone for being here. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.